Hello and welcome to Vox Markets. I am John Human. I'm very pleased to be joined once again by Mo Khan, Chief Exec of H Vivo. How are you doing, Mo?
I'm very well, John. How are you doing? Enjoying the
Not
summer?
too bad. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Mustn't grumble. Especially as we've got some news today of a significant new contract that you've just signed. One that is looking specifically at Omicron, the COVID variant, and the study to establish a characterization study for that. Tell us a bit about it. What exactly do we mean by characterization study?
Yeah, so before we're able to use a challenge agent or a virus in a challenge trial itself, we need to determine the minimum dose we can use to give us an infection in an individual that we can measure and then hopefully determine whether a drug, whether it's a vaccine or antiviral, is effective. So the characterization part comes first, and then if that's successful and we're able to find a good dose, then we would run a full human challenge trial. So very glad that this mid-pharma company has come on board and is helping us to fund this characterization study. It's not a huge amount of money. It's 2.5 million contract, but the reason why we think it's important is because it opens up to new markets. So this will be the latest variant of COVID-19, Omicron BA.5, as you say. The study will start towards the end of this year, but we expect the majority of the revenue to be recognized in 2025. But the big impact of this potential trial is that if successful, if we find the right dose with the right number of infections, it opens us up to multiple challenge trials in 25, 26.
Yeah, absolutely. Build that pipeline. So you were, H Vivo was responsible for the world's first COVID-related human challenge trial. How does this differ from the work you did then?
Yeah, so it's a good point. That COVID challenge trial we ran was, it's the world's first COVID challenge trial, but it opened up kind of the whole challenge trial market in the sense that we were able to show that in the middle of a pandemic, we ran a human challenge trial safely and effectively, and that data has been published in many leading scientific journals. And that study was done with the original COVID variant. Of course, now we're using a much later mutation of that variant. We're also using healthy volunteers. And remember, we didn't even have any vaccines on the market then. And now we will be treating volunteers who have been previously vaccinated. And finally, that study, because of the speed it had to be done, we were collaborating with a number of academic sites. In fact, the quarantine facility we used was the Royal Free Hospital, and the CL3 lab, which processed the samples, was at Queen Mary Biosciences. And this time round, our plan is to do the whole study in-house.
Yeah, so tell us how you're able to do that, because obviously this is part of a bigger sort of long-standing strategy that you've put in place and the development of your own facility. I guess that is the answer, but tell us a bit more about how you're going to actually run it.
Yeah, to be honest, it's great to actually see that your plans actually do execute, and not only execute, but the timing couldn't have been better, because we will have the opening of our new Canary Wharf facility later this year, and that includes the CL3 level quarantine facility, which means that we can house healthy volunteers that we inoculate with COVID, which is amazing. Not only that, the new facility will also have a fully fitted CL3 laboratory. So not only are we allowed to run the COVID trial, but we're also allowed to collect and process and analyze the COVID samples. So the fact that we were investing in this new facility together with our clients, and the timing of it, it's almost like, as if it was planned, So
it was planned.
Yes, but having this kind of new contract coming in almost, just after it opens at the CL3 level, it's a really good outcome for us all.
Yeah, so it's certainly a validation of the investment you've made, and even if the timing is sort of somewhat fortuitous, you make your own luck, as they say. So tell us how you're going to recruit volunteers for this study. As you say, it's sort of going to a slightly different cohort than you were able to recruit the first time you ran a COVID study.
Yeah, so I mean, as you know, most people have been vaccinated, so we expect to recruit people who've had full course of vaccination with the COVID-19 vaccine. We expect a lot of screen failure rate, and which is typical in the trials we run. I mean, we've got around 40 FTEs dedicated to our recruitment. We have a flu camp platform that we use to recruit healthy volunteers. we have 300,000 people in the database, active users, not historical users. And even just last year, we screened over 17,000 healthy volunteers that came through our doors and gave a blood sample and wanted to take part in a human challenge trial. And I think the fact that we have this large machinery in place to be able to screen the high volume of volunteers makes it possible for us to run a trial like this, because these trials are not easy to run, practically, but from a recruitment point of view, that is the single biggest challenge in the clinical research industry. So the fact that we've got such a leading brand name in the industry and we're able to screen such high volumes gives us the capability to run these large trials.
Yeah, absolutely, and that has been a problem in the past, as you say, recruitment of volunteers. You've got some real momentum there. I guess that's a real differentiator now for the company.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, we've utilized social media really well. So we're huge on TikTok. I don't know whether you're a big TikTok user or not, but
really.
TikTok, Instagram, even Reddit. So these are our key social media channels that we utilize, and also word of mouth. Family and friends of the volunteers who are currently in place come back, and so it's been a really good change we made. So we recruited a new team. We introduced a new CRM, a customer relationship management system, effectively to improve the volunteer journey. And we are seeing that our actually advertising spend has decreased. So we're able to get more volunteer leads into the system for a lower cost than we could, let's say, 24 months ago.
Yeah. It's a massively important differentiator. One thing that sort of gets overlooked, I would say, alongside with the other great work that you're doing. So let's go back to COVID and the contracts. I guess we'd all hoped that the pandemic was over. This is a new COVID-related contract. Perhaps you can sort of give us a bit of background onto why it's important, why the sort of research into COVID is still continuing.
Yeah. So the pandemic is over, but even over the last 12 months, I think there were around 250,000 infections just in the UK. So COVID hasn't gone away from an infectivity point of view. And we were actually very lucky. I don't know if people really appreciate this, but the vaccine that were marketed initially worked really well, way kind of beyond the expectations I think even the pharmaceutical companies had. So that was great, and that controlled the infections at that point. But we've progressed now 3 or 4 years since that. So the next generation of vaccines and antivirals are now being researched and getting into clinic. So I'll give you a couple of examples. So one of the weaknesses of the original vaccines was that although they reduce your symptoms, they did not actually prevent you from getting infected. And once you were infected, you were able to transmit your infection to someone else. And especially if you live with an elderly person or someone who's immunocompromised, you could give them severe disease. The next generation of vaccines that are currently under development are what's called mucosal vaccines. So these are vaccines that you either inhale or you take orally as a tablet. And these attack the virus in the upper respiratory tract. So the goal here is not only to reduce your symptoms, but also potentially prevent transmission. So this is a key kind of step forward for any kind of vaccine developer that's out there. The second key thing we're seeing is this multivalent vaccine development. So multivalent vaccines are basically the same vaccine that works against multiple pathogens, so multiple viruses. So in the UK, under the NHS at the moment, I think if you're over 75 years old, you are eligible for a flu shot, an RSV shot, and a COVID shot every winter. But imagine, taking one tablet, a vaccine against all 3 viruses. I mean, that is the holy grail. So we've seen what's happened in the past, but the next generation of vaccines now coming through the development process, getting towards the phase 2 stage where the challenge trial concept fits. So we've seen multiple clients are interested. Our sales pipeline is now actually filling up with queries from our clients hoping to do a COVID challenge trial. So this comes at a really good time for us. And if the characterization study is successful, I expect to see a boost of challenge trials for COVID being contracted.
Yeah. So as you say, not a huge contract financially, but very significant in terms of ongoing pandemic preparedness. Mo, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you as usual. Many congratulations on landing this significant study.
Thank you very much for having me on. Take care.
Thank you.